My Royal Rogues, my name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, I'm the Royal Rogue, and today we have Meghan's latest episode talking about the angry black women with a very special guest of Ziwe, who's going to talk about her experience being an edgy interviewer and one interesting book about algorithms of oppression in Google and Facebook. Let's find out what it's all about. So Meghan Markle admits she's particular and says telling people what you need does not make you difficult or demanding, as she reveals her frustration at cowering and tiptoeing into a room and slams angry black women myth in latest Archetypes podcast. So, in this Archetypes, it's like the way that she's trying to rewrite her past and rewrite her narrative to fix whatever she wants to do now with her image. And I understand the concern about this because she wants to, be seen the way she wants to be seen. And the Duchess, I'm going to share this first tidbit because it was important. And it's not from the main topic of the interview, but it will be relevant later on. The Duchess later gave another insight into her own acting appointment and how when she used to go through casting lists of black characters, they always had to have an edge or an attitude. Well, my legit question is, when did the Duchess play a black character? We have a couple characters here. According to some netizens, they consider Rachel Zane from Suits a black character. I don't want to go too deep into that discussion because that's not the point here. My actual point is, for example, she does have a fair share of Latino-leaning characters, enough to make John Leguizamo's blood boil. Like, look at those names: Tatiana, Leah Montoya, Annie Ortiz, Sadie Valencia, Veronica Perez, Teresa Santos. Meghan, weren't you stealing these acting gigs from Latino actresses? Isn't this, cultural appropriation? Is this right? Or is that you look like Latina because, you look the part and, you were well suited for this kind of characters? I don't know. Well, you tell me. But I also find myself cowering and tiptoeing into a room, and the thing I find most embarrassing when you're saying a sentence and the intonation goes up, like it's a question. Besides, she wants to come out as the nerdy mom, the introvert, like she wants to be the introvert. I'm confused at why Meghan hasn't put on a pair of glasses by now. I'm the hip nerdy mom who plays Scrabble and all this. And she insists on coming out as introvert, as shy, as the quiet one, the one that tiptoes and all that stuff. That it's so fake because we know, even if you don't like Meghan Markle, and if you like Meghan Markle, I'm sure that you will agree with this. She's not a shy or introvert woman in public as she wants to portray herself. And you're like, oh my God, stop like whispering and tiptoeing around it. No. We know your character, Meghan. We know about your personality. We know how intense can you be in terms of all this, this stuff like commanding. Commanding is the word. Just say what is that you need. You're allowed to set a boundary. You're allowed to be clear. It doesn't make you demanding. It doesn't make you difficult. It makes you clear. Like, she wants to come out that I'm not being an angry black woman. I'm just demanding. I'm just saying what I need, what I want. But thanks to Unlikely Bot, who included all these sections from Tom Bower's Revenge to remind us who the real Meghan is. Don't worry, Meghan told her. If there was literally anyone else I could ask to do this, it would be asking them instead of you. How nice of her. How nice of a touch talking to a subordinate. Every 10 minutes I had to go outside to be screamed at by her and Harry. It was, I can't believe you've done this. You've let me down. What were you thinking? It went on for a couple of hours. And as of now, no, not Meghan, not Harry have sued Tom Bower for this. I wonder why. After they missed a call from her, they rang back, the courtiers, but she did not pick up. They said, "She hasn't called back. I feel terrified." A short time later, they added, "This is so ridiculous. I can't stop shaking." From fear, from being terrified of working with Meghan Markle. That they made all this joke about being the Sussex Survivors Club. It was so horrible to see yesterday, one said the next day. According to one source, David Manning, who was always a reassuring presence on tours, would say, "You are dealing with a very difficult lady." And Meghan wants to rewrite all this, wants to effectively rewrite all this. But let's see what her guests have to say about this. Meghan suggests the archetype of the angry black woman. There's no such archetype. Maybe there's a stereotype about that, but you know how it is. Who is overly emotional dates back to slavery. Suggests the trope has influenced her own behavior, and she makes a choice to be as grounded as possible because of things that are going to be said no matter what. So yeah, grounded. Yeah. I think Harry is the one grounded, but by her. Reveals she had a genealogy test which identified her as 43% Nigerian, and this has exploded all over the internet. By the way, it's such a coincidence that her guest was or is Nigerian, and she said this at that moment. The guest she was speaking to at the time when she made her Nigerian claim is Nigerian. She lied to associate herself to her guest and to make it about herself, as always. But I have to confess that I had no idea who Ziwi was. It's a comedian, it's an interviewer. She has a show on Showtime. I think you can see her episodes on YouTube interviewing celebrities. And earlier in the episode, Nigerian-American comedian Ziwi Fumudo described how her brash and rude on-screen persona was in direct opposition to what a woman should be publicly, according to sexism. In a monologue responding to her comments, Meghan says she was so right, and that when looked at through the lens of black women, her point of view was pretty inspiring. I made my due diligence. I made my homework, and I watched some clips and half episodes of her interviews. And, well, on one hand, I did not find them funny, but I think it is because I'm not the target audience of this. But not in the slightest. Like people saying, "Oh, you're so bright, you're so brave," and etc. I did not find her funny at all. I think she's got her target audience, I guess. But at the same time, I did not find her angry either. Like edgy and sharp at times. Yes, she makes uncomfortable questions. The main gist of her interviews is just ask questions that make her guests be uncomfortable. Okay, that's all that it takes. But the not reactions of her guests, well, make of that what you will. But there was this big discussion as to what did Meghan mean when she was talking about 43% Nigerian. Meghan's genealogy was shared by every UK paper in some measure. This is by Baroness Brock on Twitter. But let's gloss over that and pretend that she didn't find it racist and rebrand it as self-discovery. Because you can interpret things in two ways, and Meghan decides to interpret things the way it suits her best, depending on the circumstances. So we have this vast genealogy that you can already search for in the internet. And by the way, it's strange that she failed to mention that awesomely, this was like 7 years ago, Meghan is actually part Maltese, according to Loving Malta, with her great-great-grandmother Mary born on the island. Meghan herself had traveled here in 2015 to explore the localities and her ancestry, and she had said there was something magical about fitting a piece of the puzzle. How that is great storytelling. Storytelling in the good sense of the word. Maybe you are talking about your own ancestry, and you are like the book Roots, right? With good storytelling. But Meghan has rehashed and rebranded herself and remade and rewritten her story so many times that we don't know what to believe yet. That 43% Nigerian, where does it come from? Like, it doesn't add up. I'm not gonna do the math here because I'm not a specialist in genetics or or in statistics. But well, some things just don't add up, especially when you compare Meghan's statements from one year to the other. And I'm sure these racial topics are important for many people. I understand that, but I have to admit it takes me quite some effort at understanding all the fuss about the biracial thing. But in a good way, I guess, because by this point in Latin America, almost everyone is a random mix of everything. It's like you have Forrest Gump's box of chocolates and you throw that on a food processor. That's what we are, a mix of everything. I'm afraid to take a DNA test because I don't want to find out that I'm 0% Japanese. And I'm sure that's something that is going to happen, sadly. But well, introducing the next segment, Meghan said it was time to try on what it feels like when we are allowed to just leave our truths. Yeah, because we leave our truth, not the truth or the facts. You know how it is with Meghan. To be direct without being called angry, to exist on our own terms, to just be or just be human. Even if she doesn't look human many times, you know. But well, she also mentioned Safiya Noble was not a guest on Meghan's podcast, but she was mentioned, and her book was mentioned. So this anecdote that Meghan was with Harry at this dinner with another couple, and at the end of the dinner, the couple gave her this book. It's called Algorithms of Oppression. I was finding out was quite interesting insights on what is the influence of technology in this. I'm just going to point out, because this is relevant to what Meghan says, but at the same time, something that I disagree with this proposal. She focuses, Safiya Noble, the author of the book, she focuses on companies like Google and Facebook and how their algorithms black box information, e.g., when a search term is entered, it is unclear how results for the search are derived. Noble's work calls attention to a system that reproduces marginalization. And this is the cover of the book. The cover of the book has this, I'm not going to say made up, because this is something that used to happen in Google. Why are black women so? And you get this search suggestions. So angry, so loud, so mean, so attractive, so lazy, so annoying, so confident, so sassy, so insecure. You have these suggestions from Google, or had these suggestions from Google, because it has been completely removed, by the way. You go to Google now and you put in why black women, and you have no suggestions. Like, it gets blocked. And with white women happens the same, by the way. So either way, Safiya Noble's way of saying things is that somehow Google and Facebook, with these search suggestions, are trying to marginalize people. And I have an observation of this when I dissent on this affirmation, because most of these platforms just suggest what are your own biases. Okay, it's just like YouTube, the first page of YouTube. You know that when you open YouTube, your first 8 videos that you see are heavily based on your own search history, on your own watch history, what YouTube thinks you might like. You know, that's how YouTube works, and works very well at predicting what do you want to watch. It's something that immediate. You don't have to search for what you want to watch. You open YouTube and you instantly have these suggestions, and it is based on your watch history. So, if this used to happen, it's because people searched for this at some point, and they were feeding this algorithm with these questions. So it's not that the algorithm was programmed to just say, hey, why are black women so angry? And that was the first spot, because the algorithm was programmed to be to marginalize black women. No, it's that, in my opinion, in my experience with search engines, with like Google and YouTube, in fact, is a huge search engine too of videos, is that these are the most popular questions that people ask. So if they are suggested in any way, or they were suggested in any way, is because people, no matter what the background is, no matter what the color of the skin were, when they wrote, "Why are black women so angry?" Maybe that was the most popular question they asked, and that is not something that, well, there's this systemic racism in technology because these algorithms work this way. No, the algorithms are designed to be as efficient as possible, and they will usually throw or serve the, like in YouTube, the most likely that you want to search or watch or whatever information that you're searching for. So I had that complaint and I had that observation. Besides that, I think today's episode of Meghan's Arsewives was, well, pretty much like the other episodes. I don't think it's a bad podcast. I think, again, it has a very precise topic. That's great. It's important for that, for successful podcast to have a precise topic to focus. In this case, stereotypes that women have to deal with. In the case of Ziwe, in fact, she admits at some point. Ziwe, you're watching. That's her beside Meghan. Ziwe admits that she plays in her interviews, in her show, she plays into the angry black woman stereotype. So she's using the angry black woman stereotype on her favor. It's like that. The prior episode with Paris Hilton, that she played into the bimbo stereotype for her own benefit. And I don't know if we are supposed to say that, well, these stereotypes are bad, or are they good? Because it depends if women are able to play into them or take advantage thanks to them. We don't know. I don't know what the morale of this story is here, but I certainly don't have a problem with women like Ziwe playing into a stereotype and taking advantage of it. Is that, if that gives more power to you, then that's great. But pointing out and saying, "Hey, this is so wrong, but it's good for you to have played into that stereotype," in Meghan's, according to Meghan's words, archetype. Well, I don't know why Meghan is inviting women that are having nice experience with the words and the concepts that she wants to, like, red flag. So I think that is that subtracts from the point of the podcast. I think that subtracts from the general experience. Like, you don't know what to feel at the end. Now, that is not necessarily bad, because it's important to make people think. It's important to make you think about a topic. And this episode made me think about, maybe consider that those search results, for example, or this kind of interviews might not be the best angle into how to look at black women. Okay, you should not stereotype black women and not white women and not everyone. Like I was saying the other day, like the term Karen should not be used, because, well, I know a lot of Karens that are great women, that are not like the stereotypical Karen that we see on the internet. So, in essence, yes, we should be aware that these stereotypes exist. So that is one point that I gave Meghan about that. But don't try to relate to your being related to your guest by saying I'm 43 Nigerian, and that came out of the blue. How a coincidence that you say that when you have a Nigerian American guest in your show. Again, it's Meghan trying to rewrite her history in ways that benefit herself. Maybe that is not playing into our stereotype. That's just plain making up things. That's what we've seen so far. Maybe she's actually 43 Nigerian. Maybe she is distorting the laws of mathematics, statistics, and genealogy. Who knows? I don't have that much experience. But if you can enlighten us in the comments, well, feel free to do so. My Royal Rogues, my name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. And remember to download my 100 bottle language tips in the description of this video. Much love and bliss.